Hi, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. If you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. I am the author of the newly released book, The Post-COVID Marketing Machine, Prepare Your Team to Win. And you can find out more information on this at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. There is so much going on in marketing, and as AI and technology and generative AI have now exploded onto the scene, and marketers are learning more and more about how to take advantage of it and build creative solutions that can really differentiate their brands. Whether you're a small or large marketer, getting all of this technology to work can really be a big differentiator in the market. Today, I'm interviewing Marc Pickren with NextNet Media, and we'll be talking about how marketing and technology can grow your sales and your brand and hopefully your career. Marc, welcome. So glad to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So let me introduce Marc a little bit more detail. He is the president of NextNet Media, which is a global network of trusted media brands and a leader in the world of marketing and technology. With over 25 years of experience, Marc is a seasoned entrepreneur known for his success in various industries, including Fintech, SaaS, and digital marketing. He excels in building and managing ventures, in some cases starting with as little as a cubicle and a phone. Boy, do I know that. Boasting a track record of overseeing $100 million P&Ls at large corporations and prestigious advertising agencies. Marc's innovative approach, vast experience, and dedication to leveraging technology make him a trusted authority in the dynamic, incredibly dynamic digital landscape, benefiting consumers and businesses worldwide. Marc, it's so good to have you. So tell us how you got started in marketing. What is your backstory?
Well, first, I'm going to have to thank my publicist for such a lovely introduction, and I appreciate that. So the question was, what's my backstory?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because a lot of people, I've gone from being a marketing focused individual through my early career to becoming a CEO, of a large marketing automation platform, a CEO at a Fintech, and now president at NextNet Media. And oftentimes people say, how do I normally meet with, when I take over a company or join a company, I usually meet with every employee on a one-on-one. In the case of a marketing automation platform that I worked for, I met with 126 employees in my first 90 days on one-on-ones. And oftentimes that's the question that folks are always asking, young marketers or young professionals, like, how do I get to be the CEO? And I often tell people that I'm a non-classically trained CEO, if there was such a thing. Normally you think about folks coming into the chief executive position, coming from, maybe an MBA and more of the finance route. Oftentimes it's through the technology side of the house in terms of being a founder and then becoming a CEO. But my roots kind of run very deep in terms of advertising and marketing, business development, and then that kind of merged into becoming pretty good at product. And so I think kind of that's my backstory is really emerging from marketing specific, which I think largely helps you understand people, right? If you're a good marketer, you're really tuned into how that communication and how you can create dialogue with prospective customers. Advertising uses more, I like to say, is more of a mixed medium in terms of leveraging all of the different aspects and modalities within marketing. But at the same point, bringing those two together and just really focusing on understanding the individuals out there that you look to communicate with and build a dialogue with.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is a hot area. And especially, I don't know, it's been probably 4 or 5 years now, definitely pre-COVID, where spending in technology and marketing has surpassed spending in technology in the rest of the company. And I mean, everybody's talking about their marketing stack and everything else. So no question that combining those two is what can, first of all, make marketing do better. But if marketing does better, then the company does better, because that is what drives success in the market.
Yeah, absolutely. We at NextNet Media, we're a company that has acquired, I think, 5 companies now, well over 50 million in revenue, and has been profitable since virtually day one. And having these different companies that are really kind of closely aligned within the SEO space, but then also our generative AI product, it's really given me a lot of exposure to how companies are performing the marketing task and leveraging the technology, and in different parts of the world. So everybody's kind of got their own flavor to how they drive efficiency, but then also how to communicate with different cultures and in different environments, because even the folks in Australia I don't mean to offend them, but oftentimes Australia kind of falls back a few years behind, like the United States, in terms of, and so it's interesting to see those things that we perhaps were considered something that has been around for a while here can emerge in these other parts of the world and can have a new renaissance, if you will, and benefit from those experiences.
Yeah, right. And unfortunately, I've done a lot of international work as well. And when you have bigger media budget and bigger opportunities in the US, and I don't know what the relative size is between the US and Australia, but let's say it's 10-1, then it's very hard for a smaller country to be the leading edge of something, because they don't necessarily have the bulk to be able to afford that kind of investment in those innovations. But anyway, one of the things I want to talk about is you mentioned generative AI, and generative AI is now on the lips of all marketers, and actually, I guess, everybody in business. And so generative AI, really exploded into the market here in the beginning of the year with ChatGPT and others. So why do you see this as being so crucial, and what do you see as going on in 2024 with generative AI?
Well, I mean, that's a loaded question. There's a lot of directionality we could go with that. So let me just focus on one specific area that I think has probably been one of the hardest hit in terms of people not really feeling like they have their sea legs as to what the future is within the area, and that's in the content production, producing content, particularly for the search engines. So NextNet Media produces about 35,000 original content pieces for our clients. We power some significant platforms in the space. And what we saw originally was, everybody was really concerned about how Google would respond to content that had any sort of, AI associated with it. And so the market kind of froze for almost a year because, do we use it? Do we not use it? And, we had, these were contractors, but we had I think a group of about 350 total writers across the country and across the globe. And so, it was really a period of time there. And then what we found, Google kind of released that they really didn't have an opinion on generative AI written content. And I think then that released kind of the floodgates of people just, churning out just a bunch of stuff that wasn't good for Google. Its users didn't really provide value. And as we know, generative AI can miss the mark. When it goes wrong, it goes wrong in unpredictable ways. And so what we've figured out is that, you know, if you look at the top 50 B2B writers and you know, ranked B2B writers, I don't know who ranks them, but if you look at them, you know, and look at their bios, you know, oftentimes you'll see that really the first thing is as with journalism is, you know, research. And so what we've found is that there is an ability to leverage the OpenAI or Baird, and to be able to have it perform many tasks that set the writer up for success. And then the writer's not having to sit down and write a unique masterpiece every time. Let's say that they're writing SEO content to a search phrase, you know, oh my gosh, how do I like construct this? And so what we've developed is systems to where we tee the writer up with a lot of information on the client, on its audience. And then as you go forward in terms of, so that's how we've found the happy medium to set the human in the loop, if you will, up for success. But then to also be able to increase efficiencies and scale leveraging AI. So that's one area where I think it's been incredible. And as a acquisitive company, you know, we have seen a lot of the content platforms out there, unfortunately, like going to market for a sale process, because I think it's hit a lot of these companies, you know, really hard in terms of being able to figure out what is the appropriate level of pricing when you have generative AI floating in the midst. And so that's put a lot of downward margin compression on the pricing. And then, you know, clients are constantly, you know, they're always like, well, I think this was written by ChatGPT. And so we're even taking steps now to basically, when the writers engage, we're doing like time stamping. And so we're actually going to develop a method so that we can actually say this is human certified, like we actually can prove that a human wrote it. And so that's been something that I think is, you know, it's every day it's a different, I mean, it's so fluid. It's like, and so you can't look at things in terms of what's our strategy for AI next year. It's like you're running in like 2 and 3 week sprints, and you just got to be super nimble and be willing to say, wow, we really missed the mark on that one. Like we totally biffed on that one, as one of my business development guys says. So, you know, you got to just be comfortable with change. And I'll tell you that, you know, the thing that's really difficult is like, you know, it's very scary for, you know, particularly a young professional who maybe isn't in management or isn't in a more senior role. And they're being faced with the fact that they, you know, graduated from, we have a great team down in Florida, you know, graduated with advertising degrees from University of Florida or University of South Florida. This is their, you know, first job. They've been working with us for 3.5 years, and it's very scary. Like, you know, how is this going to displace me? And so, you know, me as a leader, you know, I really would suggest and stress to any marketer out there, whether you're a young professional, mid-level manager, or an executive, you have to view that this is, the genie's out of the bottle. So it's not going back in. It's moving at light speed. And if I were in any of those positions, I would be laser focused on learning how to manage and how to use these as assets, the autonomous agents, and to train my team to be able to manage those and take responsibility for their output, and then be the human in the loop on the top that basically polishes it, makes sure that it's human, and gets it to market. And if you do that, if you accept the reality as opposed to kind of putting your head in the sand, you know, I think that it's an immensely marketable skill for anybody moving into whatever stage of their career. It may be, the only marketable skill in 2 years. Who knows? But anyways.
Right, right. Understand. And it's funny because when you think about kids coming out of college, they are being trained to be generalists. I mean, obviously, they're taking a marketing a major or whatever it happens to be, or writing or communications or journalism. But it almost sounds like they need to, well, they certainly need to have the generalist understanding and be able to, understand the nuances across the whole palette of marketing in this case. But the way not to be replaced by an AI bot or an AI engine is to then also have some very deep knowledge in a very particular area. That's very hard then to replace by an AI engine, because then you can use that knowledge maybe to actually, like you were saying, to be actually able to correct or edit or just tweak the AI output so that it's really much, much better.
Or even be the one that designs the learning model that the AI is, or the machine learning developing the model. It doesn't require, oftentimes, well, now you can have ChatGPT create the prompt, but at the same point, you can do the inputs to be able to create that the ChatGPT. Yeah, it's a remarkable period of time, but it's definitely got a lot of people a little spooked.
Well, I don't know. I guess it was maybe, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, when I guess it was, like the IBMs and the CDCs and the big computer companies at the time. Everybody said, "Wow, office automation is going to put all these office workers out of a job." And I don't think that happened. I mean, they shifted certainly, and things moved over to something new. And I have a feeling the same thing's going to happen. I hope the same thing is going to happen in AI, is that, yeah, these kinds of functions over here are no longer necessary, but it just opened up this horizon of other kinds of opportunities. And for those people that are willing to make that jump and really dive into these other opportunities, they are going to be very successful. And so that, it'll just kind of hopefully continue to expand and won't just wipe out a whole tier of employees.
Yeah, I mean, it's I wouldn't dare ask how old you are, but I'm 52, soon to be 53, and I always talk to people about the fact that I immigrated to the internet. I grew up in a period of time to where there wasn't the internet, and some of my early career was I started out at a company called TMP Worldwide, which bought Monster.com, and it was part of that whole .com era. And we built the first online auction for buying and selling digital media in 2004. A little bit ahead of the game there, but so here's my opportunity, because now I'm going to be a native to AI. So I mean, I'm going to now I get to immigrate again, to AI.
Right.
And then we have this whole generation that is being born today, just like the COVID generation, right? That now all of a sudden they're not going to know a world that did not have AI. And so it's super exciting, but I promised my daughter I would stop talking about singularity because it makes her terrified, and she called me the other day crying. So, but certainly it's exciting. So I'll just stay on the positive side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it definitely is that. So, and then there's this whole concept of prompt engineering that's come about. And I can definitely see where that makes a lot of sense. And I can even prior to generative AI, there were challenges for some people in how they phrased their searches just in Google to get to an answer relatively quickly. And so in a similar way with prompt engineering, there are going to be prompt engineers, and there's going to be prompt engineering classes that you can take in marketing or in other areas, so that you can be an expert at being able to drive the results that you want out of generative AI.
Well, with the ChatGPT Turbo release, it was really a remarkable moment, because it really opens up that, there's like something like 6,000 generative AI ChatGPT wrapper companies that emerged over the last like year and a half, and basically now it's rendered quite a few of them mute, because now you can basically do a prompt that tells ChatGPT to not be a bot, but to be a human, and to create prompts that will so it can actually turn out those prompts for you, which is like it's mind-blowing. And then you did mention like Google. So search generative experience is something that is very important to our business. We own basically most of the link building market. So helping brands like HelloFresh to go out there and find suitable companies that are in their sphere, and to be able to help each other out by sharing content and that sort of thing. And generative search generative experience, it doesn't roll off the tongue, kind of like NextNet Media, but what's happening with Google, and I'll try to phrase this in a way, but or describe it in a way, but Google has 15 exabytes of computational power and data. And so if you were to have, to put that in context, if you would have recorded every human conversation since the dawn of time, it would only add up to about 5 exabytes of data. And so now what Google is doing is taking the computational power that they have, combining it with machine learning to create this search generative experience, which the way that I look at it is like, if you did a Google search today for, let's call it skis, okay? And I did a search for skis. Google is going to look at your location in the Southeast. It's going to look at my location currently in the Southwest. It's going to take in some information, and then it's going to take in a little bit of information that it knows about us on an anonymized basis. And, we're both in the marketing space, so we may get somewhat of a similar response. If you were sitting here in this office and we both did the search, we would probably get very similar search results. Now, Google is basically using all of the data that they have on all of their users and creating personas. So now you may get a very highly tailored, your search result may be exclusively yours for that moment in time based upon everything that was going on in that millisecond. And so from a marketer's perspective, everybody is like, oh my gosh, like I've been spending time and money and effort to get my SEO and to be competitive against, to rank in the search rankings. And now it's like, you're going to have to position your content to write to personas, not to generic search phrases. So how is that commercial search phrase targeted at, landed gentry or what, some other, prism based avatar? And so it's remarkable how I think it's both an opportunity for the folks that are ready to put in the good work. But I also think that human writers are going to become perhaps even more in vogue, because a computer has a very hard time understanding the context of a person's persona. The life experiences that we go through, how we view the world, what media we take in, all of those things could be data points, but it's not qualitatively, you can't really understand. So I see that as also another great opportunity. And so that's on the search generative experience. You don't want to get a glass of wine in me and get me talking about search generative experience, because my family walks out of the room and I'm left there like an old crank on the back porch talking about it.
Well, I'm ready for that glass of wine, but maybe you and I'll have to be on the deck while the families are inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So let's move on a little bit. We're going to jump around here a little bit. You talk about the concept of flywheels. What are they, and why are they so important to marketers?
Well, I think that so I was a CEO of the Americas for Fintech, and you know, flywheels are it's kind of used a lot. Amazon is probably and AWS is probably the pioneer in terms of the use of flywheels. And to kind of put it into context, it's that you create a systems of and you create systems within how you manufacture and deliver your product. And if it's a marketing product, and then you create those flywheels so that you can just basically insert new types of tasks and new offerings, new whatever, and that the flywheel is spinning so fast and with such efficiency that it can intake those projects or those initiatives, and you have this system that only it allows you to scale. And I think that that's something that marketers. I've run a $80 million marketing budget for a large financial institution, and I know, like, the how much we were able to create efficiencies in terms of reducing our expense costs, which obviously the CFO loves, and the finance guys, the FP&A guys. And so, creating a flywheel that you can ingest and create almost like a perfectly manufactured product is kind of the critical piece, I think, to marketing organizations surviving, into the future. And then I'm gonna break off a little bit because I want to give some advice to some marketers out there. Um, you know, One thing that I've learned, having been a CMO and in marketing, is like, normally the C-suite in the company, whenever the marketing guys come in, they kind of roll their eyes like, oh no, here he's going to ask for more budget, and I think that it's kind of I think that the days of judging your success as a CMO or as a marketer by the size of your budget, I think those days probably ended about 5 years ago, but definitely are over today. And so I think that that's another area where, if I was a CMO in a company, which I have a great CMO, Max Gomez, I would make sure that you're looking at all of the efficiencies, looking at ways to leverage autonomous agents, look at ways in which you can move quickly in terms of being able to produce efficiency while also scaling your organization.
Mm, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I agree with you. Although, as much as when I talk to young marketers, I always say it's much better to work for a company with a big budget than a small budget. So no question that budget size does matter a little bit. But
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I get your point though, because in the end, there's when I look at, and especially like automotive, they are spending so much money, and that they are way past diminishing returns, and yet they are absolutely loath and fear, almost in fear of death, that if they cut back, they're going to lose the sales of the one or two cars because they cut back on 5 or 10 million in their media. And so anyway, yeah, I agree with that.
I'm in trouble with my marketing team, because I came in and cut our marketing budget by about 20%, and they said, well, we're going to see a direct correlation to that, to a reduction in revenue, and I did it anyways. And of course, there was the reduction in terms of meeting sets and opportunities, etc. So I'm firsthand, I'm guilty as charged as being. Unfortunately, they took the marketing guy and they made him the president. So I'm now making those hard decisions. but it actually came true, and I said guilty as charged. I'm fully accountable for that. I had to. So
Uh-oh, you had to swallow some. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that drives marketing success is targeting customers. I just did a training session for Emory, the Emory Business School, Goizueta Business School, and I talk about how important targeting is, and if you want to increase your marketing effectiveness, you can do that absolutely much better by just making sure you're targeting the right folks. You talk about, though, building a modern data architecture that really matches with how you're targeting your customers. Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, I mean, when I was at Mr. Cooper, it's not a household name. We owned 1 in 12 mortgages at the time, and originated about 1.6 billion a month in new mortgage originations. And it was we were really portfolio marketers. So had a portfolio of, let's say, 4.5 million customers, had really good first party data on those customers, and I had a team of about, I think it was at its height was well over 10, but probably around 8 to 10 data science specialists. And we just learned how to go in and basically enrich and obtain as much information as we could regarding our account base. And really, that was the start for me in terms of like data driven computational based marketing. And then as I took on a role with a company called Outbound Engine, it was a 24 million ARR marketing automation SaaS that was particularly focused in real estate and mortgage and insurance. I actually hired 2 PhDs, and what we were able to do is it's all about right fit client. It's all about obtaining, and I've written on this, using prescriptive analytics and Moneyball to basically drive your marketing. But it really talks about doing the analysis to obtain who is the customer that pays you the most, costs you the least to service, and has the highest degree of expansion opportunity or repeat business. And then if you look at what is a wrong fit client, those customers, if you let one of those customers in with every 3, positive customers, you're going to spend the old 80-20 rule. You're going to spend 80% of your OpEx trying to service the customer that eventually is going to churn anyways. And so we were able to, we had about 120 salespeople, doing outbound dialing. And what I found was that, we had to really go in and build what I called the pure gold database, which is to identify prospects and then to append them, because there's so much available data now to append, and then taking those and putting into some sort of prescriptive analytic platform, which in this case was the PhD, and to really do that analysis in terms of identifying which of those pockets of customers are sellable. Like, you want to look at the sellable or the conversion opportunity, but then also that they're right fit, which for us meant that they could afford our service for 1 to 2 years. And the way that we were able to identify that is to identify segments of customers in businesses, B2B, that carry a specific level of account balance. They have discretionary cash. There's certain businesses that carry no discretionary cash, and there's certain businesses that do. And so that's also a factor in terms of making sure that they can continue to afford a subscription-based product. So, getting everything a central point of truth, and partnering with finance. I'm going to tell you, if you're a marketer and you're not partnering with the FP&A and you're not building out pro forma models that have the endorsement of the finance department, good luck. And so you might as well just lean into it, take them out to lunch, do whatever you need to do to win them over. Because I would say that as a CEO or as a CMO, your most important relationship is with your chief financial officer.
Oh, interesting. And it's funny that you say that, because I think my background is in, basically return on investment and numbers and what have you, and marketers that can justify their marketing budgets and their actions based on a true measurement of success, and then be able to communicate that to the C-suite and you're right, to the CFO, then they will be more successful. They will get larger budgets, or at least they'll be able to smooth the approval process and or keep the budgets from being cut. So I wholly agree with what you're saying. You have to put a financial take on that. And actually, when I was doing this training courses that I mentioned, I basically said, what would you rather see what would you rather hire if you saw a resume that said, I managed a $50 million budget, or I managed a $50 million budget and we increased effectiveness every year? So it's that measurement piece that is just so critical, that that can really drive, success for the company, but also success for the marketer himself.
It drives so I would even take it a step further, like partner up with an FP&A, financial planning and analysis talent in the mid-levels, or a junior person, and go to them as a marketer and say, how do I build a pro forma model to demonstrate that I'd like to make this investment, and here's how we're going to measure that return, and then if it's not working out, here's where we're going to pull the plug, and we're going to make smart, calculated bets that have a high degree of return, but are written in a language that financial types understand.
Yep.
And it's like, I mean, I was terrible at math, so I was the worst math student ever, but I'm pretty dang good at actually reading and writing financial models, just because I've spent so much time invested with the finance department.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're working, sorry, we're kind of going off, but we're working with a bank right now, and you would think that they would know from the finance team, what the value of a customer is. What is the lifetime value if I win 10 new 10 new customers in terms of interest and fees or whatever it happens to be. And the good news is that question was instigated by our team through marketing to finance. And so it kind of then says, hey, guys, if you want us to do a good job, you got to help us do a good job. And I think they're that now that communication is now open, and they are going to see then the success of marketing. Let me change the subject. So we talked a little bit about the modern data architecture. Let's talk about setting up a modern marketing and or sales stack.
Oh wow.
Do that in 50 words or less.
yeah. I mean, it's like unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but it's kind of like there's basically ecosystems, right? There's the Facebook ecosystem, there's the Google ecosystem, then you have like Salesforce as an ecosystem, HubSpot as an ecosystem, and I could go on, and then you have like I don't know if you've seen that the MarTech 2020 2018, it went from like 60 to like 700, and now it's like I think they actually have to print 2 of them now. You can't find paper big enough. And I think what you're seeing is a lot of consolidation. Like for us in this organization at NextNet Media, we had all kinds of like adjunct kind of products that were integrated with Salesforce and Pardot, and and then we're advertising and like, so you're getting all these data points. And for us, we've just really, I mean, we've leaned into Salesforce just because natively, with Einstein coming out, which is their generative AI for both marketing and for sales, or for the CRM, it's just become so difficult to manage all these integrations with all these other products. And I think that's kind of unfortunate because it probably will delay successful innovation in some of those companies, or I guess they can just get outright acquired if they're good enough. So the modern stack today, I think is really, the other difficulty is like attribution and back to the whole building a data lake and having a central point of truth to where you can tie in finance in terms of receipts and purchasing, et cetera. And then you can have the marketing trace back, and then you can have how sales, if you do have a sales process, integrates. And, if you have something like with Salesforce, we're probably going to do data cloud and just have everything there as opposed to building a separate database. And so I think the modern stack is probably going to be a little bit, I think we're going to see a reduction in the number of integrations, and if we haven't already, and kind of that chasing the shiny blinky thing. I think we all know about the display programmatic, and every other week there was some other, like, or Data Zoo was saying, well, we're closer to the data center, so we actually place your ad faster than somebody. It kind of followed the whole programmatic trading. And then it turned out that kind of like nobody really knew at the end of the day if it had improved anything one way or the other. And then you see stuff like with the Trade Desk is I think filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So you're seeing a lot of challenge in terms of that space. So for me, as a leader of a company, but also with a deep respect for the marketing team and for my CMO, it's all about helping to peel away some of the stuff that just causes a lot of headaches, and also risk. Like if something breaks in this kind of cobbled together stack that you have, if something inserts something, think about all the sequences you're running on email, right? Like you probably have, if you're a large corporation, my gosh, you probably have like 6,000 sequences that have a life of their own. And at any time, if something breaks down and somebody's name spelled wrong, or you put the wrong name in front of the wrong thing, your entire, all the sequence that you built up to get to that moment, and then you send the wrong message to the wrong person and call them the wrong name, it just blows up an entire year's worth of work and effort. So yeah. I think it's about reducing risk and exposure, and getting back to kind of basics in terms of that.
Well, and I think what that means, though, is that the larger companies are going to be more successful because they will hopefully be more integrated, and you won't have to worry about 50 or 100 different integrations of different things. You'll just have one. Now, that's probably oversimplified because all these big companies then buy the little ones up, and then they have trouble swallowing them and getting them kind of under the same umbrella. So it's technology is so much fun. It's always, well, it's in software, we should just be able to program it. And it is just not that easy. It is just not that easy.
Marc, just like AI. It's just like AI technology. When it goes wrong, it goes wrong in very unpredictable ways.
Yeah, exactly. Marc, I'm going to have to cut it off there. I have 100 more questions for you, and would love to keep chatting. But one last question, and that is, so given this complexity of marketing and technology, and now AI and generative AI, what advice would you give for an up-and-coming new marketer?
I think we kind of touched on it early on. I would, a lot of the generations, we employ a lot of people that are younger. We employ a lot of people that are college graduates. We employ people that have been, our early stage millennial or late stage millennial. And, there's kind of an aversion to new technology because they've kind of like grown up with messaging and being told so much. And so on a personal level, and so there's almost like an aversion to like AI. I get a lot of that, but don't let your own personal kind of situation or the way that you were brought up and your feelings towards media or advertising change the fact that you need to accept reality and lean in as much as you can and learn as much as you can, because you may be the the next CMO of the future that has a team of 30 people under them and a team of 1,000 different autonomous agents performing all sorts of menial tasks. And so just lean in.
Just do it. Just do it. You know, get those
Yes.
Nike shoes and just do it. Well, Marc, I'm so glad we were able to get together. And like I said, I could talk to you forever, but unfortunately, we've got to come to a close. So how can our viewers find out more about you and about your company?
Yeah, so we just released our first kind of holding company global branded site. It's www.nextnetmedia.com. And there's actually an opportunity there, for anybody that's interested in terms of looking at our services, and we're really focused on turnkey reseller opportunities to improve advertising agencies' bottom line. And you can actually go to the reseller section and I think connect with me directly through LinkedIn. So I'm happy to help anybody. Happy to provide help in any way I can.
Fantastic, Marc. Thank you so much. So it was www.nextnetmedia.com. nextnetmedia.com. Marc, thank you so much. And to the viewers, please stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And please visit marketingmachine.prorelevant.com and download the first chapter of my book. And also there's many other valuable excerpts. Again, Marc, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you so much. And definitely I'm going to check out the new book.